Hello, welcome to a new series where I get to try out trending cakes, trending designs, and see if I actually like the trend that's currently ongoing or not. I said it in my Starting a Home Bakery, the series. The baking is one of those industries where the trends keep changing. There's new designs, everyone's dying to do every quarter there's very many new designs that all of us want to try and do, and I've decided I will be trying them out on my YouTube channel and deciding if I actually like the trend or not, and if I will want to do it again now as a paid order or not. So for today we're doing the cake that has been trending since I think around November. That's when I started seeing it, around November or late October. Right now my Instagram explore page is nothing but comic book cake. That's all I'm saying. So today I want to try to do one of them, and as simple as possible, simple for me, and see if I actually like doing it or not, and if it's actually as easy as everyone's reels, TikToks, all those YouTube videos, as easy as it seems on those channel. On those pages or businesses. So this is, I don't know, this may not be tutorials because it's my first time doing it, so I am showing you as I do it the first time ever. So I have not done this before, I have not practiced. All I've done is watch the reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts, some when the video shows up on my YouTube homepage, sometimes I'll watch it. I don't even think I've ever watched a full one to the end, but with the little knowledge I have gotten from watching some of the videos, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and do one of the full ones and one of those quarter cakes and show you firsthand. If I don't like it, then you guys will know. If I find it hard, then you guys will know, because I will just be doing it as I go. I will try film from a perspective where you guys can see what I'm doing, and hopefully it's kind of a tutorial. If it doesn't work out, if it doesn't look 2D, then oops, I don't know. And that definitely makes it clear that this is not a design that I want to do, but we'll see as we go. So for this bit, I'm just layering the cake as I usually would, just adding some buttercream, adding some fruit, and since it's a pina colada cake, I used pineapples and coconut, desiccated coconut. And then I just crumb coat the cake as usual, do the second coat and do the third coat, which after some time I figured I probably shouldn't have done a third coat because of all the drippy yellow drip for the design, but it's fine. I live and learn. So maybe next time if I have to do this as an order, I'd probably only have to do 2 coats, but again it would depend on the design that I would have to be doing and what the client would prefer. I'm chilling the cake between each coats for at least 15 to 20 minutes so that I can do the next coat easily. Once I was done, I chilled the cake for at least 1 hour to ensure the white buttercream is completely set before I could add the yellow drippy animated look. Once the cake was cold enough, I piped the yellow drippy look using a round tip. I just drew a pattern with the tip and then filled in the bits with more yellow buttercream, and then also piped the top using the yellow cream. That top part, I'm not sure why I chose to pipe the whole thing yellow, because now that's more wasted buttercream, but I smoothed out the drip design using an offset palette knife, and then took another offset palette knife that's a bit thinner at the top to tidy up the squiggles and make it look a little more presentable. the thinner palette knife helps with tidying up the thick buttercream, because I can go in between each of the squiggles. And also, having the cake extremely cold, like the white buttercream, helped set the yellow buttercream a bit faster, so it was easier for me to tidy up because it's already setting. It's not going to be too soft for me to work with, so I can be able to shape it and tidy up without messing up the white cream, sorry. So it's very essential, I realized, to have the cake as cold as possible and use a thin palette knife to like go in between each of those two lines. Maybe this would have been easier if I used fondant, but I genuinely didn't want to make or use fondant at this moment, so I just opted to use buttercream. Once I was done, I let the cake sit in the fridge for another 30 minutes to firm up the yellow buttercream. Once the yellow cream was firm, I used a scraper dipped in hot water to smooth it out so that the buttercream looks smooth and not bumpy. Like, you don't need to see the the palette knife, like the movements I'd made. So dipping the scraper in hot water made it look perfectly smoothed out and not bumpy. Also, I realized my cake is tilted. I noticed it while I was finishing up, but then this was a practice cake. I don't know if I put too much fruit on one side, so that's how it looked. But I was initially going to eat this cake with my family, so I didn't care if it looked tilted. But at the end, I feel like it ended up looking more animated because it wasn't perfectly like flat as it would be. And then I went back in with my thin palette knife to tidy up the edges of the drippy look, like the bottom part, so that it looks like it's not, like, if you can see clearly, I'm taking out the parts that look like they're falling off after using the scraper. So that's why the white part needed to be extremely firm, and also the yellow part being firm, because even if I'm using a hot cake scraper, I don't end up melting the buttercream. I decided to pipe like a black outline at the bottom of the cake, but even as I was going around, I realized it was pointless because my cake board was black, so you can barely see the outline. And then I went to outline the drippy look, but then because I'd used the hot scraper, the buttercream was not dry yet, so I couldn't perfectly pipe the outline on the drip, so I decided to pipe the outline at the top and then come back. At this point, you can see my hand wasn't steady enough. It's kind of shaking, and even though the breaks are supposed to be what the cake looks like, mine was coming out very poorly, so I decided to just use a toothpick to remove the bits that look untidy, and then refrigerate the cake again so I can redo this when it's completely set. The toothpick is better because you can easily take off small bits and tidy it up better. So I ended up putting the cake back into the fridge for a few minutes so that the yellow part could completely dry, and then I could do it. I also piped my swirls at the top, and then I realized while I was decorating them why everyone was using a round tip, because I prefer to use a 1M or a star tip. But then decorating, like outlining these, I saw why everyone was using a round tip. Then I went back to do my outline, and because my cake is dry, it was a bit easier for me, and by this point I had gotten a bit more confident. I stopped worrying too much about how it looks, because I remembered at the end of the day I had not tried to do this before. It was my first time, so I could be fine. And also, the starting a home bakery, I did mention I'm going to try to stop being stuck in perfectionism, because at the end of the day this cake is meant to look like it's drawn and not entirely perfect. So even if I want it to be perfect, it was my first time trying out this design, so I told myself it was okay if it didn't come out as perfectly as it did in all the photos I was seeing, but I ended up liking it. Also, if you're using buttercream, and I think also with fondant, remember to outline at the bottom of the drip so that when you take a photo, the yellow bit looks like it's more drawn, because it creates like it's like a shadow. I don't know. I didn't do art, so I don't know what art terms are, but ensure you outline the top and the bottom, like right under where the white and the yellow meet, so that it looks more drawn out. Yes, and don't forget to use your toothpick to tidy out any parts that break off, and also keep wiping your nozzle on a piece of serviette so that it gives you a cleaner finish. Every time you see my nozzle popping out of the screen, I'm wiping it down on a piece of serviette so that when I come back to pipe, it's a bit neater. Then I added these little white lines, and when I was adding them, that's when I realized it's starting to look like it's animated and drawn out. I was trying to make them look as different as possible, like each part to have a different like a small line. So some are curved, some are just dots, some are just like plain lines. I don't know what you call this type of art. I think that it's called shading. It might be just creating shadows. Like it helped create the effect. And when I added these is where I started seeing the cake look a little more animated, because I was really doubting myself. And then because I couldn't see the bottom outline, I decided to pipe some yellow cream using number 10 tip at the bottom of my board, so that when I do the black outline, the cake appears to look more drawn. I don't know what the purpose is of this yellow cream. I've just seen it in some of the pictures. That's why I decided to add mine. But it helped bring the design to life. And I went back with my, I don't know what you call this palette knife, the thin one, just to tidy up. You can see when I'm going around, I'm trying to make it look good. And in this process, if you're using buttercream, every single time, if you want the work to look better, just put the cake in the fridge. I know my video is edited, so you don't see how many cuts there might be, but I've been putting my cake in the fridge so that this process is faster. Yeah, it's easier to tidy up a cold cake than to work with a room temperature cake. After you've chilled the cake again, you can now outline the black cream again. So as you can see, as I'm outlining, the cake now starts to look a bit more 2D when I'm doing the bottom part, because now you can see the bottom outline. And then I did also outline the yellow part. Even if I outlined where the yellow meets the cake board, you can barely see it, but it kind of helped. I think from my perspective where I was sitting, I started seeing like the yellow part looks like kind of a cake board, which at that point I thought maybe I should have done a different color for the bottom part, but it did help bring out the cake, like make it all pull together and look good. And at this moment my hand was pretty tired, so there were way too many breaks because I was struggling to pipe. And then I also outlined my swirls, and this took forever. I think it took me just as long as it did to pipe the rest of the cake, like to pipe the top drip and to pipe the fake cake board, because trying to outline each of those little lines created by the star tip was just taking so long. I tried to do this standing up. I only did 2 and then had to sit down to finish up. But in the end, I really did like opting to do using the star tip. But honestly, if you do not want to be so tired, use the round tip. I can't remember what number it usually is, but yeah, using a round tip would have been much easier and much faster than doing this. Alternatively, if you have to do swirls with 1M, I wouldn't have done as huge as this, but in the end I really liked my cake, so I don't regret it as much. Then I added some strawberries on top and also outlined them so that they can look also drawn. But outlining the strawberries was the easiest part since they're already cut. You can easily see the where to draw on because you're just doing like the outer part and the inner part. So that was the easiest part in all of this process. My number one tip for if you're going to do this design is allocate ample time to do this, and also do it at your most productive time of the day. I'm a morning person. I wish I started earlier because me in the afternoon I'm a bit lazy. Like I should start shutting down. So I would have rather done this early in the morning, but it's a cute design. Just allocate ample time. I wouldn't want to do this on a busy weekend because of all the piping, but in the end I really liked it. So the only big challenge for me was allocating time for it. Finally, they're done. Would I do this as an order?